the great gasoline shortage of May 2021. That's what we're talking about on this episode of the Driving with Rob podcast. Today, as I'm recording this, it is actually May 17th, 2021. And what I wanted to talk about was the gas shortage, the gasoline shortage. All the gas stations ran out of gas. I think they said 60% of the gas stations in North Carolina were out of gasoline. 40% of the gas stations in South Carolina were out of gasoline. And apparently it's rampant all through the southeast and all up the eastern seaboard. You know there's no gasoline shortage, right? And I blame the news media for creating an artificial panic. There never was a gasoline shortage. Yeah, the pipeline shut down, but people panic buying gasoline is what caused the gasoline shortage. And I'll explain why in a minute, but to me it's basically the news media yelling fire in a crowded theater. And everybody thinks it's against the law to yell fire in a crowded movie house, because that's what you've always heard. It's actually not illegal. It's stupid, and it should be illegal, but it's actually not illegal. But the news media created an artificial panic. Well, here's what happened. Apparently, the big giant pipeline, I don't know how big this thing is, but it's got to be big. Well, apparently they have electronically controlled valves, computer-controlled valves. Well, at different spots throughout this pipeline that brings gasoline from the refineries in Texas to most of the southeast and up and down the eastern seaboard, this is the main supply line for gasoline. And some cyber terrorist hacked into the system and closed all the valves. And they said, pay us X number of $1 million and we'll open them back up. Well, having spent many, many years as a maintenance man, yeah, you can open and close valves by computer. It's very convenient. It's very easy to do. You can do everything from a central location. But pretty much every computer-controlled valve has a manual override. You can send a human being out there to physically turn a valve or turn a switch, turn the computer-controlled valve off, and manually open the valves yourself. Now, I don't know how many hundred people it would take to manually reopen all the valves, but I know that it's possible. Well, also, this Colonial Pipeline does not supply gasoline directly to the gas stations. There are several distribution points throughout the system where they pump into these tank farms. And then the tanker trucks go to the tank farms, fill up their truck, and then take their tanker to the gas stations and fill up the tanks at the gas station. Well, once the news media told everybody that the main gasoline supply lines were shut down, and at this point, at this moment, officials have no estimate as to when they will be able to reopen this pipeline. So millions of people immediately panicked, went to the gas station, and filled up their cars, and created an artificial shortage. Now, the gas stations did run out of gas, but it's because people went out and panic bought gas. Because if everybody had bought gas normally, like they always do, none of the gas stations would have run out of gas. See, there's a tank farm just right down the road from my house. It's a community called Paul Creek. And everybody from this area calls Paul Creek Tank Town, because that's where all the big giant holding tanks for gasoline and diesel fuel are. And that's where all the tanker trucks go to fill up their tanks so they can take it to the gas station. Now, I know most people aren't employed in a supply chain type of a job. or in distribution or transportation or anything like that. And they don't understand why the gas stations ran out of gas. Let me tell you why the gas stations ran out of gas. For the same reason you run out of bread and milk during a snowstorm. See, the grocery store has this computer system that tells them what their on-hand inventory is and their usage history and reorder points when you get down to so many gallons of milk. You need to order more milk. And it takes 5 days to restock your supply of milk. Well, during a snowstorm, and in the greater Charlotte, North Carolina metropolitan area, half an inch of snow constitutes a snowstorm. People who normally buy half a gallon of milk once a week went to the grocery store and bought 2 gallons because they were calling for snow. People who rarely eat, let alone make, sandwiches suddenly decided they needed a loaf of bread. Maybe 2 just to be on the safe side. Well, if you had bought normally, based on the inventory and usage history at the grocery store, they would not have run out of bread and milk. But because the forecast was calling for a potential for half an inch of snow, everybody went out and bought bread and milk, and then you saw on the 6 o'clock news, grocery store shelves are empty. No bread, no milk, as of 2 o'clock this afternoon. The reason they ran out is because you went and panic bought. Well, they already had a delivery truck lined up to bring more on their normal delivery schedule. But because everybody went to the store all at the same time and bought up everything they had, now you're out of bread and milk at the grocery store for 4 or 5 days. We saw it when the COVID thing broke out, when people went out and panic bought toilet paper because they were basically told that stores were going to be shut down for a couple of months. Well, you know, the basic necessities of life disappeared from store shelves before they shut the store down. And people who would ordinarily buy 4 rolls of toilet paper decided they better go ahead and get 16. And all of a sudden the store ran out. And what did that do? That caused people to panic even more. Oh my God, the stores are out of toilet paper. We must find toilet paper. And when you do find it, then you stockpiled it and hoarded it too, for fear that you would never be able to find toilet paper ever again. Well, the same thing happened to gasoline. And your particular local neighborhood gas station knows that when a tanker truck delivers, that it's going to take about 5 days before they need to reorder to restock the gas station. But when everybody in the community goes to the gas station and fills up every vehicle they have and every spare container that they have, and even puts gasoline in plastic Walmart bags, then yeah, the gas station ran out. Well, it's going to be 5 days before the normal scheduled delivery tanker truck shows up. So for 5 days, that gas station is out of gas, because you all went out and bought gas at the same time. The big giant holding tanks in Tank Town still have gasoline in them. There was a momentary disruption in the big giant gasoline pipeline coming from Houston, Texas, but we didn't run out of gas. I think the pipeline was down for 3 days, maybe 4. It didn't deplete the big giant holding tanks in Tank Town. But when everybody in your neighborhood went to the gas station at the same time, then that gas station ran out. There's still gas, but now you have to wait for the tanker truck to go to Tank Town, fill up the tanker, come back to the gas station, and fill up the gas station's tank. You ran out of gasoline for the same reason you run out of bread and milk during a snowstorm. All your friends and neighbors went out and panic bought gasoline all at the same time and created a gasoline shortage. So the bottom line in my message with this We're not out of gasoline. The pipeline is back open. We just have to wait for this caravan of tanker trucks to replenish all the gasoline that you all went out and panic bought last week. I still have half a tank. I haven't even tried to go to the gas station. And I'm pretty sure I'll be fine. And so will you. And that's the podcast on the great gasoline shortage of May 2021. If you like the podcast, tell your friends about it. Tell them that you like it and you think they will too. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Google Podcast. I'm on Apple Podcast. I'm on iTunes. Any place you go to listen to podcasts, you can find me. So just tell your friends. Go and check out the Driving with Rob podcast. I would appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye now.